In terms of the legal profession specifically,
Yeah.
are there any aspects of the profession that you think that actually may impact on a lawyer's ability to function well?
The legal profession is a very diverse profession, so while there will be some common factors across all the areas, there are some specific instances where things will be slightly different. Commonly though, we know that there's generally three particular areas. So one would be the environment, the type of law that the person practices in. The second one would be organisational factors, and the third one would be personal or intrinsic factors to the person. So the law itself is a highly demanding profession.
Yes.
And for instance, if you're working in family law, then you're often dealing with highly volatile or very stressed clients who might not be very civil to each other and to you at times.
Yes.
If you're working in criminal law, then you've often got the pressures of seeing some fairly traumatic evidence that might be going to court, dealing with the family of defendants or of offenders, and a whole range of pressures in terms of having to go to court and everything that's involved in that. If, on the other hand, you're in commercial law, you're dealing with a lot of big dollars, and the financial pressure to make sure that you get it right can be quite immense, and you're often working to very tight deadlines and quick turnarounds with that. So within the kind of context of the law that people work, there will be different factors that influence that. Organisationally as well, things like if the organisation has high pressure for billing and that you need to produce a certain amount of work within a period of time. If there's a very hierarchical structure, or if people feel that they're unable to go and talk to someone, they're more likely to not function as well as they could. Open plan offices can be quite detrimental to the way we work because there's far too much distractions around. And then there's things like, for instance, rural lawyers are often working on their own in a small community compared to lawyers in the city who are in big practices and there's lots of other personalities and things. Then we're dealing with people, and lawyers are known to be fairly high in perfectionism. It's a very difficult profession to get into, so you have to be fairly academic and have a very inquiring and a mind that actually is quite analytical and looking for facts and for data. So that in itself can put pressure within the person to be performing at that level as well. So some people will have one or two of those different factors impacting on them, and others will have a whole range of factors at one point in time. It's taking the opportunity to really assess what's going on and then to notice how that's actually affecting you at that point.
What about the development of resilience in individuals and in lawyers, and how do lawyers generally come across in terms of their ability to cope with stress and pressure and bounce back?
There's a lot of literature about resilience, and resilience is comprised of a whole range of different factors. The more protective factors that you have in your life, so these are the things that help to keep you feeling well, and they're things like a good stable relationship, engaging in activities that you find important for you, having things outside of work that give you some sense of who you are and enjoyment is a key part of resilience. What we find, particularly with young lawyers, is that they're so dedicated to their profession that they will focus on building up their profession, and they'll often let go of some of those other protective factors that would ordinarily keep them resilient. So it's taking the time to look at that. And then some personalities are slightly more resilient than others, and some people will have a different perspective and just say, well, this is a part of me, it's not all of what I do.
Yes.
So everyone will have different aspects that they can build on to help make them more resilient.
Well, the stakes are very high. It's either going to be one of the biggest problems that your client has faced, either personally, from a monetary perspective, from a highly emotional perspective, and those stakes cross over into your obligations to the court, which are always very high, and your obligations to your opposing solicitor. So everywhere you look, tensions are at a very high level, and it is quite likely that the person that's sitting before you seeking your advice has come to you with the biggest issue in their then current life. So I think there's a little bit of, what can we say, a great deal of transfer of one's problem onto their legal advisor, and certain personalities handle that better than others.